Hey everybody, Arkham here once again. In today's video, I'd like to point out a bad take that I've seen cropping up a few times lately. And it's the idea that the online Halo community is just a small portion of overall Halo players, thus, their opinions don't speak to the feelings of the overall audience. While I can understand why some might say that, and it's certainly not a new statement to make, I've seen it plenty of times before over the years to dismiss people's opinions on things. But the fact is, that mentality is incorrect. Sample sizes are used for this very reason. Companies conduct research polls on sample sizes to gain data to gauge educated assumptions based on those results. If you poll 1,000 people, you can find the trends that will ultimately still apply to 100,000 people within a small percentage margin of error, of course. In fact, you can still get a good estimate from fewer people for a much larger population. Imagine that. Let's learn a little bit about it, shall we? And before we jump in, if you are new to my channel, go ahead and subscribe, like the video, and more than importantly, just comment below. I'd love to know what your guys' thoughts are, what you like, what you don't like, and weigh in down below. Thank you very much. Now let's get to the learning session. Alrighty then, well, let's take a look at this for some education on this subject, shall we? This is an excerpt from an article titled, How Many Questionnaires is Enough? Written by Amanda Krantz on research design and audience research. The link is in the description. Now onto the article. To dive into this issue deeper, let's talk about the three primary factors necessary to think about when deciding on a sample size. 1. Population. 2. Confidence level. And 3. Margin of error. Now, population, that is the number of people in the group from which you are sampling. For instance, your population may be the number of annual visitors to the museum, members or visitors to a specific exhibition or program, or maybe even the average amount of people that play your game. Now, a fact that is often enlightening and counterintuitive is that population does not have a proportional relationship to sample size. To demonstrate this, follow my calculations by trying out one of the many yada yada, skipping that for now. Let's start by determining a sample size for surveying the National Gallery of Art, which reported nearly 4 million visits in 2014. 3,892,459 to be exact. Using the margin of error of plus or minus 5% and 95% confidence level, the sample size suggested is 385. Wait, 385 is a good sample size for nearly 4 million people to get an idea of what that population might be thinking or feeling in conjunction with that 385? Interesting. By comparison, the sample size suggested for the Phillips collection, which welcomed 106,154 exhibition visitors in 2014, is 383. Now, despite vastly different size visiting populations, the recommended sample size for each museum differs by just 2. Again, this example demonstrates that sample size is not proportional to the population, but also having an estimate of your population is often sufficient to determine a sample size, unless you are determining a sample size for a program with small attendance or small populations. Now, for our subject here in regards to Halo, our population would be the amount of people that play the game on average, one would think, right? If people play the game and then drop it and just go away forever because they played it, the new hotness for a couple weeks, then they moved on to the game that they really love, or whatever the new hotness is, obviously they don't really matter so much. But either way, we're dealing with a population of what, several 100,000, maybe a million, even 2, whatever. This idea that the several tens of thousands of voices online between Halo YouTubers, Twitter, and Reddit that mostly agree with the sentiment expressed on the issues with shop prices, value in the bundle themselves, the customization offered, what is earnable in game versus paid for options, and how the cores, kits, and codings all work, to say that those collective opinions don't mean anything in the grander picture because they're just a small portion of the overall audience that plays Halo, you can see now that that is a very ignorant statement, right? That statement alone implies that being a part of the online community means you're more likely to feel a certain way. Oh, that's why. Than someone who doesn't go online, for example. As if people who don't visit our Halo, watch Halo YouTubers, or go onto Twitter and interact with the community all have no concept of money, the value of a dollar, or simple standards and logical reactions to blatantly flawed systems versus well executed systems. In fact, if anyone is more likely to spend on these things and just accept things and stick with the game no matter the flaws, you'd think it'd be the diehard Halo fans that are willing to go online and talk about it 24/7 every single day for years on end, like you and I. So, what sense does that logic make? I don't know, man. All of our voices at the end of the day hold weight. And when there's a continuous upswell of feedback, be it positive or negative, from a good portion of the online community, it absolutely speaks to the bigger audience as well. That's what sample sizes are. For example, you pull 31,000 people, uh, like a couple weeks back, as fellow YouTuber Halo follower did. 2% said the monetization and progression was good as is. 24% thought it was okay, but felt it still needed some improving. And 74% of those people did not like it at all and thought it was overpriced and unfair. 31,000 people took this poll, and those are the results. You're telling me that's not an insane sample size to speak to? I mean, well above what we actually needed, but that's data. Those voices count. This does matter. That does speak to the overall audience. Okay, moving on. Now, let's say Halo has 1 million players on average between Xbox and Steam, as an example. And those percentages hold up within even a 5% margin of error. So plus or minus 5% either direction. At best, you're looking at less than 10% of your population feels the monetization and progression in Halo Infinite is ideal the way it is. And about 70% feel the shop is overpriced and the progression is bad. And roughly 20% can accept it but feel it could still use some tweaking. Now, that's the 5% in favor of basically best case scenario for the developers. If it went 5% the other way, that would look even worse on them, and you get it, right? So, let's not even kid ourselves. 343 would not have addressed all of this on their holiday community stream, something that is meant to be happy and fun, a time of celebration, if it was viewed from their end as just a drop in the bucket. This mentality of it doesn't speak to the bigger audience. They wouldn't have done that. All right. And you know what? I have friends that don't follow anything Halo on Twitter, YouTube, or Reddit. And believe me, when we're playing the games together or they're posting in the Discord, their thoughts and whatnot, when I gauge like where they're coming from, or when we're playing the game together and this is what I hear, they're saying and feeling the exact same stuff most of us are as they're leveling up, as they're looking at the store, as they're looking at the cores and the customization. These are longtime Halo fans since Combat Evolved, just like me, just like many of you, but they don't go on all the social media and interact in the Halo community. They don't do all of that. They just play the game because they enjoy it. So next time someone says to you that our voices don't matter just because we aren't the majority of the player base, educate them, because it's a bullshit dismissal of the issue at hand to make you feel like you should just accept whatever comes your way. Fuck that noise. I want to see Halo Infinite become the best Halo yet, and it has all the potential to be if they keep listening to good constructive criticism. Not that immature, threatening death threats bullshit. I'm not talking about that. We're talking about good constructive criticism that you can find on Twitter, that you can find on YouTube from the great Halo YouTubers such as Hidden Xperia, Mint Blitz, The Act Man, Uber Nick, Green Skull, Sean W, Halo Follower, myself. I would like to. That's what I'm trying to live up to here. I'm just trying to be another voice out there to make some change. If you follow that sort of constructive criticism, even the stuff on Reddit, there's a lot of constructive criticism. It's not just a bunch of bullshit, hate, and negativity and vitriol like people like to paint it out to be. If you look at just the hot topics, there is some great constructive criticism there. If they keep listening to that good constructive criticism and find that happy middle ground between their needs and ours, you know what doesn't make a game better? Simply accepting everything that comes your way because you think it'll just fix itself, and that your voice and the tens of thousands of voices around you, a part of this online Halo community, won't make any difference. That's not getting us anywhere. It's just food for thought. That's all. Food for thought, guys. I am Markham. You guys take care. Have a wonderful Christmas. Happy holidays. The whole shebang. I will see you soon. Take care.